that blue sky dialed in there with the polarized filter. There we go. All right. Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce, and today we're going to talk about how fast a deuce and a half actually is. That's one of the most common questions I get on the channel. How fast can you get that deuce and a half up to? Well, the answer is complicated. Technically, if you want just a full balls out speed, 65 miles an hour. The factory deuce and a half is rated to go 65 miles an hour until the governor is supposed to cut off the fuel. That also happens to be about the speed that the engine blows up. When you're asking how fast a deuce and a half is, you're really asking two separate questions. Number one, what's its top speed that it can attain and stay safely at? And number two is how fast does it accelerate, 0 to 60 time. Of course, we're not going 60 in that sucker at all. First of all, the deuce and a half's maximum top speed. Well, that also gets kind of complicated, but basically 50 miles an hour, around 50 miles an hour is where the engine is happy. It's going to get okay gas mileage. It's going to purr down the highway, no problems at all, at about 50 miles an hour. It's a nice RPM range for it to just sit there and chug down those miles. But you're going to get about 5, 6, maybe 7 miles per gallon if you're lucky. If you dial that speed back down to about 45 miles an hour, then you're going to get about 10, 11, maybe even 12 miles per gallon. And that's a huge difference. I mean, would you sacrifice 5 miles per hour to double your miles per gallon? When I first bought my Deuce, I had 3 solid days of sun up to sundown driving to get her home. And the first day, I kept it about 50 to 55 miles per hour because I wanted to get home eventually. And I did average about 6 miles per gallon, maybe even 5 miles per gallon. It was pretty rough. I was not getting that far down the highway between full fill-ups. And then I decided to, let me lower it down a little bit. So I lowered it down to 45 miles per hour, and it doubled my miles per gallon. So 50 gallons of diesel, instead of going 250, 230 miles, I would get on down the road almost 500 miles. Of course, I never drained it that far, but between 400 and 500 miles, that was a huge difference. That was huge difference. So 45 miles an hour if you want the best efficiency. 50 miles an hour if you don't care about fuel mileage and you want to get down the road, but you want to make sure the engine is still happy. And 65 miles an hour if you just hate your engine and you're going to throw a Cummins in it anyway. There you go. Blow that sucker up. Now let's talk acceleration. I have never done any kind of testing with acceleration, but I have an app on my phone that gives, basically it's a drag race style thing. So it should be giving me, 0 to 10 miles an hour, 0 to 20 miles an hour, 0 to 30 miles an hour and whatnot for the deuce and a half. Hopefully it works. I'm out in the country and unfortunately GPS, for some reason, out in the open, GPS has a hard time in this area around the farm. I don't know why, but it does require both speed and GPS. So I'll do my best to get those numbers and we'll go back down to the bunker and talk about them. I have now done a ton of acceleration tests with the deuce and a half, and I have some video here to share with you. Now, I had a doozy of a time trying to get the drag racer app to work with the deuce and a half because the deuce and a half has a lot of parasitic drag when you're going down the road. When you shift gears, you lose a lot of momentum, and unfortunately, the drag racing app I was using saw that as me letting off on the accelerator and ending the speed run, which of course I was just trying to shift gears. So I had to go through several, as you see right here, I had to go through several different options, several different tries to get it to register one. So let's go ahead and watch a few of these. The best one was what you just saw, but let's go through and see the others as well. All right. Alrighty, I'm pulling out of a small road onto a 4-lane highway here. So I got a really good 10 mile an hour jump because I was going downhill and then up the other side. But now it's uphill. As you can see, I'm starting to really chug going up this hill, unfortunately. And that's going to be one of the issues with the Deuce and a Half, is that there's not a lot of power there and there is a lot of weight. So a hill climb, any kind of acceleration going uphill is very noticeable. Honestly, you end up downshifting quite a bit in the Tennessee mountains that I'm in. So you do feel that fourth, fifth gear shift quite often. But you see, I got to 52 miles an hour there, which is pretty sweet. And I did get to 0 to 40 miles per hour in 31.4 seconds. The quarter mile time split is obstructed by the bottom of my phone. I did time it manually basically, and I got the quarter mile in 34.16 seconds. Pretty slow. And I hit a top speed of 52 miles an hour, which is pretty much the top safe speed that I feel comfortable in my Deuce and a Half. And I hit that in 42.13 seconds. So these are not speed demon vehicles. They really aren't. But they can get down the road. You know, is it faster than the school bus? Maybe. But it can get down the road when needed. And now the best time I could manage after about a half hour driving around and just basically tearing out of every single stoplight and stop sign like a bat out of hell. Right now I'm sitting there looking at my gauges, getting ready for my run. I've got a real good feeling about this run, which is why I gave you the thumbs up there. Now I do start out in first gear. And the reason is because starting out in second gear is very hard on the clutch. Again, not a lot of power, but a lot of weight. I could possibly shave off a couple of seconds if I was willing to sacrifice my clutch material to start out in second gear only. But I don't do that. I'm going to go first, second, third, dog's leg at the fourth, and then the fifth. But I am doing it in the higher range for the transfer case, not low range. So I'm getting through there. I'm ripping through these gears right now. It feels so good. The Deuce and a Half is just, it's running on all, it's hitting all 6 cylinders like a bat out of hell. And we're getting there 50, 51. I'm noticing right now that this is a good run. 52 miles an hour. So let's go through the stats right there. You got 0 to 10 miles an hour, 4.8 seconds. That's not the best I've done that for that day. The previous best run was kind of downhill, but I got that much, much quicker. If I start out in second, I could more than likely shave off at least 2 seconds off that 0 to 10 mile an hour range, but I'm not. 20 miles an hour, hit 20 miles an hour, 8.6 seconds. That was the fastest of the day. To 40 miles an hour, 21.8 seconds. Again, that was the fastest run of the day because everything else usually had either a problem with shifting quickly, or I ended up going uphill, something of that nature, and it was killing my momentum. But I got everything as good as I could do it without several days of practice and just focusing on acceleration. So I hit the eighth of a mile in just under 20 seconds. So I got under 20 seconds there. Quarter mile, 30.1 seconds. Again, if I start out in second, I could probably get that about down to 28 seconds even. I'm pretty confident of that. I can't imagine anything faster than that, but 28 seconds I think would be a really, really good time for a quarter mile in a Deuce and a Half that is bone stock. If you're curious in a 0 to 60, I don't have a 0 to 60 unfortunately because I'm not comfortable in taking my Deuce and a Half up to 60 miles an hour, but the very best run from 0 to 52 miles an hour was 35.9 seconds. So over half a minute to get from 0 to 52 miles an hour. Out of curiosity, I did check out an estimated 0 to 60 for my Deuce and a Half using the Wallace Racing calculator here. You can Google that if you want to. I have no idea how accurate this is, but it seems to be a decently updated web source, and you put in your eighth of a mile, both time and speed. My eighth of a mile, my best eighth of a mile was 19.9 seconds with a speed of 38 miles an hour. And per that info, my 0 to 60 estimated time for a Deuce and a Half is 49.61 seconds, which honestly is in line because you're really hitting the top end there with a Deuce and a Half. You noticed I was really winding out that fifth gear, and I totally believe a 50-second 0 to 60 for a Deuce and a Half that's in stock form. Now, can you get that much faster? Yes, of course. You can re-engine it, you can re-gear it, you can put bigger tires on there to better utilize the gearing ratio and the transmission. There's all kinds of things. You can lighten it, you can chop it off and turn it into a Bob Deuce and a half and get a much faster Deuce and a half out of it because it's half the vehicle that it used to be. There's all kinds of things you can do, but all this is for a bone factory stock full-size Deuce and a half. Well, guys, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go subscribe. A lot more is on the way. If you have any comments, questions, or a show ideas, leave that in the comment box of the video. I'll try to get as many as possible. And as always, you guys have a great day. See ya.